let's go. Welcome to Financial Literacy Lunch Bite. This is Rachel here from Expense Concierge. This is the first time we're going live on Facebook. So this is actually today is actually the 11th session of the Financial Literacy Lunch Bite series. So want to share a little bit on it. So this is actually a weekly recurring 30 minutes webinar. I'm only limiting it to 30 minutes just so that those who are having lunch can squeeze in 30 minutes of their time, while they're eating, to join me to learn a little bit on, a little bit on finance stuff. So yeah, so like I mentioned earlier, this is recurring. Each week we will be focused on one topic. I will share with you what's the topic for today later. So the structure for it is such that, well, I'll share my topic, I'll share information, and there'll be a very short Q&A session, but along the way, feel free to comment, feedback, type in your questions. I'll look at it towards the end, but just type it in when you have it, just so that you remember to ask me about it. So for those who are familiar with my work, with what I do, my work is NLP based. So I help people in the area of cash flow using neuro-linguistic programming, NLP. So let me just share a little bit on NLP. Two sentences. NLP it works on the unconscious mind, unconscious part of our mind, which essentially is 90% of it. And it helps to increase the patterns and programs that we have in our everyday life, things that help us to get us motivated, get us happy, gets us excited. It strengthens those patterns and programs that we have, that we want, and reduces or removes completely those that we do not want, like fear, anxiety, stuff like that. So that's what is predominantly what I base my work on. And with that, the reason I explain that is because in the webinar itself, I am going to ask a lot of questions. So there's a reason why I ask a lot of questions. It is to trigger thoughts. My webinar, my 30 minutes, this 30-minute session is very different from others. So I would like it to be as interactive as possible. And wherever you can, even if you don't have the time to type it in, but whenever I ask questions, I will remind myself to pause. I will pause, and then you can take the time to see how the questions can be applied to you in your life. Reflect on the questions and notice what comes up. The key thing is to notice. It could be another way of looking at it. What comes up in your mind? What are your thoughts? What do you think about it? How do you feel, when I ask the questions? Notice what comes up for you during the, when I'm asking the questions along the way. And just to share a little bit on the questions as well, I may ask one or two of the questions a few times along the way at different points with the intention of going deeper into the root cause of the issue. So this is not just a information sharing session, but it is about, how you can apply those information into your life as well, right? So I'm moving on to our slides for today. Let me just share my screen. Give me a while yeah. Okay, so this is my screen, and this is Financial Literacy Lunch Bites, session 11. So this is one slide that I always have in all of my webinars, simply because there is a point that I wanted to share and emphasize. Towards the end, I will, give me a little while, when I show the slide, I will share this with you. So what I wanted to share is where we are at now. We are all at point A. And where we are going to be will be point B. So point B is our goal. So this is setting the context for everything. Point A is where we are at now. Point B is where we want to be. But along the way, how do we reach there? So if you look at my screen, this is the path that a lot of people take. Even if they don't realize it, this is how they reach there, right? It's not a straight line. So the key point that I want to make here is about making adjustments, right? Being open to make adjustments along the way. And of course, we work towards a direction, we work towards a goal that we have, but Be open to make adjustments, be open to know what, to notice actually what works and what doesn't, to make adjustments, to adapt and to reach our goal. So that is the main point that I make in every session, right? Okay, so the topic for today's webinar is the wrong way of managing money. This is the topic I selected for this week because it came up a few times and I wanted to address this as one of the very, very basic principles. And often when I share it with a lot of people, it provides a very different perspective of looking at how they manage money. So let's move on. You know, this 30 minutes is about finance. And as you know, I work predominantly with a lot of people in the area of cash flow, money, finance. And finance is a very, very, very wide topic. It ranges from investment to savings, to retirement, to, you know, expenses, to how you spend money on a day-to-day basis. Yeah. So, and there's a lot of gurus and expert advice out there, you know, and I am not saying that, you know, we all the advices are bad or whatever. No, it's good to have guidelines. I totally agree with it. It's good to have guidelines. It's good to have rules. At this point, I'm going to pause for 3 seconds and let you think about what are some of the gurus' advice, gurus or expert advice that you have come across. Think about it. And if you can, type it in the comments field or, you know, share with me in the, I'm using Zoom for the webinar. So if you're with me on Zoom, you can type it into the chat box. Yeah, or you can simply type it into the comments field if you are with me on Facebook. So think about what are the gurus' expert advice that you have. By the way, I know there's a lag time for Facebook. So yeah, I will be taking a look at your comments in a little while. That's 10-15 seconds of lag time, I think. Yeah. So when it comes to experts' advice, think about what do you know? What comes to your mind, right? So off the top of my head, some of the gurus' expert advice are, there are things like the different jar system, which is made famous by T. Harv Eker, and that is a very good rule. It provides a very good guideline for managing their cash, how to deal with stuff. And I have known of many different people who adopt it differently. So, and that's very interesting how creative people can get to adopt it to their lifestyle. And some of them I've heard is the 50-30-20 rule, you know, where some people save 10%, save 10% of their income as savings, and, you know, some money for play, some money for their business, some money for their own expenses, monthly expenses and stuff like that. So there's lots and lots and lots of advices out there, you know. There's no right way or wrong way of doing it. So the thing that I wanted to emphasize and what I always believe in is this, that there's no wrong way of managing money when it comes to what works for you, you know, or rather how you have been managing it so far. I always believe that, or rather in my interaction with so many of my clients and people that I work with, there is no wrong way in managing money. Just know that, you know, this is a very basic principle that I share with a lot of people. Just know that however you are managing it now, the habits that you have, the behaviors that you exhibit in managing it, it leads to a certain consequence. It leads to a certain result, be it good or bad. So think about how it is in your life right now. What are the money habits that you have? What are the money behaviors that you may be exhibiting? And what result or consequence have you had so far, right? And for people who are watching this, I don't know how many years you have been working, but I am very sure I am not, I may not be, I'm definitely not talking to those who are in school or young enough, you know, not to not be working yet. Okay, I have to constantly remind myself that I'm live now. So that's interesting. So for those who have been working for a few years, there is definitely a way as to how you have been managing your money so far, right? So either you manage it or you don't manage it. You know, you have a certain habit or behavior when it comes to money, right? And then think about what is your consequence or the result of it right now in your life. Is this result or consequence something that you want, and whether that is working out for you? If it is, then good, continue with what you're doing. If it is not, then think about what you can do to change it. And when it comes to habits and behaviors, it often goes back to our values and belief system that we have as a child. How we think, what we believe in leads to our actions and our behaviors, right? So again, that's my emphasis. That's the basic principle that I want to share. There is no wrong way of managing money. It's just that how you are managing it now leads to a certain set of results, right? So then how? You may ask me, then how? How do you figure out, you know, what to do, right? So here I have specifically chosen 5 questions to help you find out what you can do. Essentially is to increase the level of awareness you have in how you are managing money, right? So the first question that I want to ask is, when it comes to money management, what is the goal that you have, right? Specific goals. You know, things like, okay, bad goals are, for example, things like, I want to have money in the bank, I want to retire when I'm 50, I want to lay on the beach, you know, watch the and don't have to work. I want to be able to quit. Then that's all very good goals, but it's not specific enough. You know, when you tell me all those things, I will be asking you, what does retirement mean to you? What specific do you see, hear, or feel when it comes to your goals? What essentially do you want to achieve? What is the you may not necessarily have an exact amount, but what do you feel, or what do you see? What type of lifestyle are you living when you reach your goal? So what goals are you setting when it comes to managing money? And the next question is, what are the instruments you're familiar with? Here, I am talking about what are some of the financial instruments, that's right, investment instruments that you're familiar with. So what I share with people is always start from where you are at now, which is what I mentioned earlier, the point A. Start from where you are at now. Look at what you're familiar with. It could be property, it could be foreign exchange, it could be stocks, equities, it could be anything that you're familiar with. Start from there. And if that is not working for you, then pick up some stuff, read up on it, or talk to people about it. Pick up some stuff that, you know, get yourself educated and familiarized with the instruments that you want to embark in. So when it comes to managing money, one of the key thing is education as well. Invest in yourself. You know, of course, you know, it's all good and well to go for courses, but end of the day, you go for courses to invest in yourself, to learn the information. You know, you can always pay someone else to do it for you. Nothing wrong with that as well. It's just that you'll be relying on that person or that, you know, corporation for the rest of your life as well. So think about it. Who do you want to rely on? You know, and the key thing is to start with instruments that you're familiar with. The third question that I wanted to share with you is to notice what works for you in your life right now. What are the habits? I know I'm jumping from you know, habits to investments to stuff, but finance covers such a wide topic, and my questions are targeted at different areas of it. Well, my questions can be as broad or as narrow as you want it to be. So the question here is, what works for you? Be it in the area of expense management, cash flow management, saving habits, investment habits. What are the things that work for you? You know, essentially what works for you. And if you find that, okay, there may not be anything that's working for you, then think about what will work for you, that will suit your character, you know. Yeah, I come to that point in a moment. So yeah, think about what works for you. What are the habits, behavior that has been working for you that you are comfortable doing? You know, a lot of people tell me that, oh, you know, like, you know, this is very interesting. A lot of people tell me that, oh, a lot of gurus tell them to track their expenses every day, and that's okay. But there's also a lot of people who gave up because they are not able to track their expenses, and then um they feel that, you know, they have failed because they have not been able to track their expenses according to what the experts say. But then when I explain to them that because we are all wired differently, each of us have very, very different characteristics. Some of us are very, very futuristic. Some of us are very, very big picture. For me, I'm a very, very detailed person, and I'm okay with, or rather, I am the best with dollars and cents, not necessarily with numbers or measurements, but I'm very good with numbers and dollars and cents. So that is where my strength is. So, and but I recognize and I acknowledge that there are people out there who don't like numbers at all, and that's okay. So, but with that knowledge of knowing what you are good at and what you are not good at, find a way that works for you, right? So the next question that I have is, what does money mean to you? Think about what is money to you. When in my conversations with people, in my conversations with my clients, especially, I always tell them when I always explain to them, you know, when we are having conversations, we're having sessions, throw the dictionary out of the window. You know, whatever the word means in according to the dictionary does not apply to us, because the same word can mean different things and have different interpretations to different people. Like even for things as simple as money means different things to different people. And in my experience, if you know, I have this money mindset series. So I have this it's actually an interview series where I talk to different people about their beliefs, values, you know, what does money mean to them. And this is the first question that I always ask them. And I almost always get different answers. And from there you can tell that, you know, even if it's just a simple word, it means it has different interpretations to different people. And okay, just to sidetrack a little bit, I just had this conversation with someone as well, where, you know, as much as words mean different things to different people, numbers mean different things to different people as well. So yeah, so we were talking about perhaps $100 for simplicity's sake. It means it has different, we put different interpretation, we put different benchmark to a number as well. So $100 to me could essentially, of course, mean different thing as what $100 would mean to a millionaire. And $100 also mean different thing to a small kid who is used to maybe a primary school student who is used to taking maybe $10 per week for lunch or something like that. You know, it means different benchmark for different people. And we put our own interpretation of numbers, we put our own interpretation onto the number as well, right? So think about, what does money mean to you? So the next question that I have is, how are you wired? Specifically to how you are like in terms of character. Also going back to what works for you and what doesn't work for you. Like I mentioned earlier, the big picture, the detailed person. Well, there are certain things that we can do if somebody is very big picture and wants to work on their numbers to be detailed. There are things that we can do to calibrate that, to shift that a little bit. But end of the day, you want to be comfortable living your life, right? You want to live the life that you want. So I would say, I would advocate this. If you are a very, very big picture person, you don't want to look at numbers, then just set up a system, and, you know, integrate a system, something that let it runs automatically such that it will work for you. think of ways to make, okay, maybe make is not the right word. Think of ways to adjust whatever is out there, you know, whatever the gurus teach as well, whatever principles, to adjust it to how you are wired, right? So in conclusion, okay, I want to keep to the 30 minutes lunch session. So in conclusion, I would like to emphasize that, again, there is no right or there's no wrong way of managing money. But what we want to do is to understand who we are, how we are like, and what suits us best. The last thing that we want to do is this. We don't want to be in a world where we follow the latest fads, you know, the latest financial instrument that came up. You know, we don't want to just jump onto the bandwagon because everyone is doing it. I remember there was one point in time where people say, okay, gold is the way to go. So everybody jumps onto the gold, what's the word? The gold rush. And there was some point in time where property is the way to go. So everybody jumps onto the property ship. And, you know, some people say investment funds, ETF, cryptocurrency, there's a lot. There's simply too many vehicles out there. But the key thing is to find out what works for you, right? So the last thing that we want is to be following other people blindly. And I always say this, that there is only one Warren Buffett in this world. And his way of managing funds is out of this world. It's fantastic. It works well for him. But there's only one Warren Buffett in this world simply because he's wired the way that he's wired. If you read up more about him, you will know that he is, you know, he does the things he do and he likes what he's doing. So that's who he is. So for us to learn from him, it's all good to learn about how he does things, how he trades and stuff like that. But end of the day, we need to be able to adapt, you know, to adapt what we learn to our style. Like, for me, I know that I'm not the type to sit in front of the computer to watch the stock market go up and down every single day. That's not me. So it doesn't mean that I shy away from stocks. No, I have portfolios. I do invest in stocks as well, but I do it in a way that I'm comfortable with, and I invest in a way that suits my character, you know, that I can sleep at night. And so one of the last things that I wanted to share is do it such that you have the peace of mind that allows you to sleep at night. And I always say this, having that peace of mind is priceless. You know, it's precious. That, you know, do things that are suitable for you and have money conversations with people that are knowledgeable, that are independent, and that truly cares for you, because they can provide other perspectives, other insights into your, provide inputs into your thought process as well, right? So lastly, what I want to share is this. I have this template on 20 powerful questions of money. So as I was going through this just now, I was just thinking, is it 24 powerful questions of money or 20 powerful questions on money? I think I'll make the correction from there after this. So regardless, I have this 20 powerful questions that I'll be sending out to those who attend today's webinar. If you have registered on Zoom, I will send it to you with your email address. For those who are watching me on Facebook, if you want this template to be sent to you, ping me your email address, private message me, and I will email it to you as well, right?